watching Ringside Review for the third week in a row. No intro song because we are running late. And it's all Seth's fault.
Yes. I thought I had to get gas. Turns out I was full of gas. Sorry.
No, actually, I was being stalked on the highway by a mysterious vehicle. So
strangers decide to show up.
No, seriously, I'm not even. This is not even a joke. I really did get.
It's because you talk shit about Thor Ragnarok. That's why. They know, Mike.
It was just weird. It was a weird incident on the highway just a few minutes ago before we got on the air. So, anyway, the worst is over. Hopefully, the door is locked. So,
oh God, great.
Hopefully, we won't get murdered tonight. Tonight, we won't get murdered.
Tonight, we won't be slaughtered.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Ringside Review. I want to take this moment to introduce you to my co-host, the Supermark himself, Seth Allen Holbrook.
Hey, everybody. Thank you. And I want to introduce my co-host. He's the Ayatollah of I Told You So-a. He's so loud, he's proud. I give you Mike McBride. Bye!
I feel like I didn't get as much clapping as you did, but
Oh.
anyway, no. I'm not one to pander. We have to be the most annoying show, like for people to watch. It's like people like, oh, there's this little internet podcast thing. Yeah, let's watch it. And then all of a sudden, just thunderous like clapping. Seth, what is going on in the wrestling world this week?
Let's see. We had, I guess they call it the greatest Royal Rumble that happened.
The greatest, most bestest specialist Royal Rumble. Get it right, Seth.
I'm so sorry. I didn't.
It is the granddaddy of them all. Because they're not using that term anymore. We might as well use it. And it was also the home of the greatest moment in wrestling history.
Oh,
it was
God, yes, I heard.
Titus World Slide.
Titus World Slide. The shirts are already out, I hear. So.
And you know what's funny about this, besides everything, is like a few seconds after it happened, I don't think I'm alone in this. I think wrestling fans worldwide, kind of, it all dawned on them all of a sudden is, oh no, WWE is going to drive this into the ground. Because that's what they did with Fandangoing. Remember Fandangoing?
Yes.
Fandangoing. It was about, when did he debut? In 2012? Something like that?
I think so.
Yeah, so it was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
For like a week, it was the most popular thing in the world. I mean, literally, it was the biggest thing in the world. It was you couldn't get. You couldn't go anywhere without seeing sporting events.
Sporting events from all around the
world. Viral videos were all over the place of people fandangoing. And the WWE handled it so poorly, and they just made it. It was like one of those things where it was like when old people try to be cool and act young. That's what it looked like. And it was I don't know how the best way to describe it, but it was.
It took off right after the day after WrestleMania.
Yeah. Well, because there were so many viral videos. It was the year WrestleMania was in New Jersey. I don't care what Vince tells you, but it wasn't New York. It was New Jersey. That would be like having a Dallas WrestleMania and calling it Dallas Fort Worth. You know, it's like no, it's Dallas. You know,
Dallas, not Arlington, not Fort Worth.
Yeah. Well,
Dallas.
I guess it was Arlington. The WrestleMania.
That's true.
That's neither here nor there. But yeah, and so they sort of ruined Fandango. It was all the fans riding to their hotel rooms or home on the subway, Fandango, and all the viral videos that came up.
Games,
yeah, it was. It was pretty popular, and WWE just ruined it. You know, we actually haven't introduced our special guest tonight. He's been the star of some viral videos himself. Ladies and gentlemen, Xavier Woods.
Xavier!
Was that not the best transition? Like, the best segue into a guest ever?
Absolutely. Xavier.
Oh, he's mad at us. He's not going to talk.
Well.
It's because I mentioned the sex tape. Oh, well, you know what, Xavier?
You got to live the dream, so relax. While we endure the nightmare.
Man, he's like bowing up to me. I just look at him. Calm down. Are you still gonna help us out with the Raw review later? He's undecided. Well, we'll check back in. Sorry, Xavier. Man, that guy's mad.
He's angry at you.
Seth, do you want to run down the greatest, most bestest Royal Rumble for us? You didn't watch it.
I didn't watch it.
All right, I'm gonna have to run it down for you. Okay.
Oh wow, this is new, folks. Yeah, sorry. Just
I'll run down what I saw.
I had a personal reason to skip this one because it's not only was non-canon and stuff, it's just
non-canon.
It wasn't. It was part of the main storyline, so it doesn't matter who won this pay-per-view. And also, when you have a company like the WWE who talks about equality and talks about nationalism and where you come from and stuff, it doesn't matter because in the WWE, the World Wrestling Federation, it represents everybody. But not when you're in Saudi Arabia, where there's people who have secondary, people, they treat them secondary and everything from men, women, children, and different nationalities. So I had to skip out on this. That was just why I didn't watch it.
Are you okay?
I'm okay now.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I saw, and then I'll sort of run down the things I didn't see that I can't really give you that great of a review of because I didn't watch it. The funniest, well, gosh, there were so many funny things about this paper. It really is worth checking out just because how funny it was, because there were so many botches.
I heard there was a lot of botches, and the people and the performances, they didn't really care.
It was some of it was just laugh out loud. Okay, like of course Titus sliding underneath the ring, that had to have been the funniest thing. And that will go down as one of the most classic moments in WWE history. And there were Titus afterwards got on Twitter and he tried to insinuate that he had done it on purpose, but it was like, come on, we know you. There's no way you would have planned that. Yeah.
Congratulations, the torch, or I should say, the wall has been passed to you.
And then, of course, on the next Raw, they tried to ruin it. They fandangoed it.
Yes, they did.
He purposely tripped and fell out of the ring when he was trying to get. Because that's his gimmick now, is that he's a big dumbass, is what it is.
Sucks. You're
Another.
You're now officially a comic act. That's what you are now. You are no longer being taken seriously anymore.
Another, what I thought at the time was a botch, but now I'm thinking it fits into the whole conspiracy angle with Roman Reigns is the finish to the steel cage match for the Universal title. Did you see this?
I did see the last 10 minutes of that match, and yes, that was a botch. That was so messed up.
It really looked like it was so clear cut.
Yes, but his feet were
cradled.
Brock Lesnar's knees, show the camera, were cradled up to his chest, so his feet were not touching when he was speared, and his back was against the cage wall. And it states that your feet have to touch the ground first, both feet.
But you know what? I saw somebody put up an image, and it showed Roman's foot was still on the apron, so technically his feet didn't really touch. But here's my thing: the wrestlers know, they know when to fix something. It's like I always thought in the Royal Rumble, like if you weren't supposed to be eliminated, you could always just sort of hop on one foot and get back in. It wouldn't be that hard, It's like,
but Kofi Kingston wouldn't have any more spots.
I guess.
Anybody else could do it.
But I did not watch the WWE Championship match, but from what they had a double count out.
It was a double count out. That was actually a very good match. Like I said, I didn't watch pay-per-view. I just saw like the highlights on WWE's YouTube channel. And it was double count out, and they just went at it. They were just fighting outside the ring, and they would not stop. And then the referee just called it, like, okay, it's done. Which means you're going to have the rematch again at next week at
Backlash. Now, what's funny about this is it just seems to me like this was just a huge setup just for Backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Like they did not. It's like they did not care about what happened at Greatest Royal Rumble at all, which is good.
No, like I said, this was something for some rich sheik who wanted to see his favorite wrestlers wrestle for a lot of some money. Vince said, "Okay, I'll throw all my values out.
So the Rumble itself. Oh, by the way, Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt are now the tag team champions on
yes.
Raw.
And there was one more botch. I heard
There was a couple more botches.
Was it Jeff Hardy and Jinder Mahal?
He did the whisper in the wind and just Mahal kind of. He didn't. He wasn't in the right place or something like that. It just.
But he still.
He still took the bump, which just
bump,
looked. Which is always great when they do that because it looks terrible. That we had somebody just walk down the hall a second ago and it scared me for a second just because of what happened earlier.
It's the strangers.
And he just I waved at him. And he sort of looked at me as some old fat dude. So I don't know. Nobody's going to bother us. So anyway, getting back to the actual Rumble match, there was a botch by Primo, who he was supposed to jump off the second rope and he slipped and something like that. So, which I thought was funny until I saw Titus, and then Titus just sort of stole the show. There's also the debut of a sumo wrestler. Did you see the sumo wrestler?
Yes.
Hiroki Sumi, who will we ever see him again? I don't know if that was a one-time thing.
I found out more why he was invited and
was this the Yokozuna thing?
This was the Yokozuna thing.
Because the Prince, who apparently set this all up, didn't know that Yokozuna was dead.
Yeah, or Ultimate Warrior. He wanted Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, and Yokozuna in the Greatest Royal Rumble pay-per-view. And he didn't know that the other two were passed on.
That's just terrible, man.
I know, right? So they got a current sumo wrestler who's working the ranks, and he's also helping with New Japan Wrestling. So there you go for his little bumps in there, and they put him there. That was the closest thing they could do.
Now the match I wanted to see, but I didn't get to see at all, was John Cena versus Triple H. This was interesting to me.
This was the opening bout.
Just because there was absolutely no story going into this. And I was just wondering how the match would do. Did Cena beat Triple H clean?
Yeah, he did. From what I heard from other podcasts and from just word of mouth from other fans and friends, they were countering each other's finishers, and then one or two pedigrees. John Cena kicks out of it because he's super John Cena. And John Cena does a couple of AAs, and of course he kicks out of it, and then they just keep going back and forth until finally I think John Cena did one more.
We need to do a retrospective one of these days on the uselessness of the AA now.
Yeah.
John needs to seriously think about just getting a new finisher because there's no one. Everyone kicks out of the AA.
But what he does is he does a super AA off the second rope, I think, and then he delivers it, and then 1, 2, 3, he beats Triple H.
Guys, man. So, anyway, getting back to the Rumble match itself, of course, the winner. Were you shocked by this?
Not at all. I knew he would win. Braun Strowman.
It was, of course, me. I won.
Well, of course, you always win.
No, it was. I had a picture of Braun. I don't know what happened to it. Hold on, let me get the.
But yes, it was Braun Strowman. He was awarded some type of.
He got a trophy and a belt, which was weird.
That was bigger than him, which was awesome. I think it was silver, pure silver or something, and then a championship belt that looked like green.
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's calling it the 420 belt because it looks just like a big slab of marijuana.
I did not draw that comparison, but.
It's what everybody's calling other word of mouth.
That's kind of stupid.
Stupid if you ask me.
Don't continue the stupidity. Don't.
I'm not going to. He just got some type of the Greatest Royal Rumble.
The greatest, most best is there's my picture, bro.
So I'm asking. So I'm guessing, is it defended? Is this gonna happen every year?
Did he even show up with it tonight?
Not the belt, but the trophy was there. Yeah, it's not the belt.
That's weird, man. That's so weird, man. It was one of those things with the Sheik was or whoever it was, the Prince. I said Sheik. I'm thinking of a wrestler. The Prince was I want him to have a belt too, just.
And he presented, and he was there when Vince McMahon gave it to the Prince, and the Prince gave it to Braun Strowman.
Yeah.
And I guess
we could have worse winners.
No, I'm happy with it. It's just that this pay-per-view made no
Oh.
sense. I mean, I'm glad that they got to perform and they're showing the world what it is, but you did it in an area and a territory where, like, and you heard about Sami Zayn, why he couldn't perform.
That's because he sucks.
Well,
No, I'm just kidding.
well, his mother and father are immigrants from
Syria, yeah.
and they're not really good with Syria and Saudi Arabia have really bad views with each other right now. So they asked.
Well, Syria has bad views with everybody. But
pretty much right now, yeah. So
Saudi Arabia, no offense, but you're kind of crazy over there. That's kind of.
Yeah, you are. I ain't gonna lie. Let it go, man.
All right. So anyway, that was the greatest, most bestest specialist royalist rumble. It was a thing that happened. Let's move on with the rest of our lives.
Let's not talk about it again.
So I think I didn't, for whatever reason, I didn't really keep track this week because I guess I have a life and I have other things to do.
He does.
And it ain't exactly like this show is paying like a lot of money for me. Like imagine if this show had actually paid us money, how much effort we'd put into it. Like
man, merchandise. We would be there.
we would have like we'd actually put real effort into what we'd have
a
the content of the show.
We have
Yes,
like
we would try. We would try.
Yeah, everything.
We'd have something besides just the pay-per-view title, which is still under my possession until SummerSlam. Lisa needs braces later this year.
And it'll stay with you. It'll go back to me. That's right. It's staying on the show. It's not going.
Hey, we'll see. I might just keep it. Who knows?
I just might keep it.
Who knows, Seth?
I've been looking at new belts for the show.
Really?
Yeah. They're only $160.
No, what you need to do is wait till the sales go even further down at Toys R Us because they have replica championship belts. I saw one.
Like the one that I got. Like we got it.
Well, it's the Toys R Us, but it looks really authentic. It's heavy too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
You've never seen them at Toys R Us? Go to Toys R Us. They're up at the front of the store.
Okay.
I think they're like 100 something right now.
That's
But
it?
they're gonna go down. Yeah, I think the women's title is actually for whatever reason like just $100 right now.
Okay.
We could have a women's title.
We could.
We're not sexist here. We're not Saudi
No.
Arabians here.
No, we're not. Heaven no.
Well, maybe me a little, but I mean.
Well, you do got the beard.
Anyway, the other big news story that sort of came out. Did you see this thing with Jazz? Do you remember Jazz? I mean,
The wrestler?
yeah, Jazz, the
I
wrestler.
remember. What about her?
She was married to Rodney Mack in IRL, in real life, and I liked Jazz. I thought she was cool. I liked anybody that was different,
Yeah.
like especially in that time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anybody that was kind of different. And Jazz was kind of cool.
Remember they were trying to get her to go against China.
Yeah, she was. Man, she
awesome.
looked like she could kick somebody's ass too.
Yeah.
You know, but I digest. So she was on, I guess, Twitter and just started attacking Charlotte for no real reason. Did you see any of this?
No, tell me about this.
Well, I wish I had the tweets ready to go loaded. I don't even have. Yeah, I have the tweet spot. The only tweets I have ready to go are the tweet spot. You're gonna stay tuned for that.
But what was it?
Well, basically, Charlotte had tweeted out something, and the fans had responded, and then all of a sudden, Jazz just chimes in with, "I'm the one who paved the way for you, and all this, and you're a bitch, and anytime, any place." And it was really weird because she had nothing to do with the conversation. Charlotte didn't say anything. It was like she was. It was like Jazz had lost her mind. It was just.
Was Jazz trying to get like a spot on WWE? You know,
I
just
don't know. It was so weird.
It
It was really weird and random why she started doing that. I just made a special note of it.
Oh wow. Jazz, honey, what's going on? Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from Jazz for years until this.
Well, ever since that breakup between you two, it hasn't been the same. Like.
Yeah, exactly. Seth,
Yo.
do you want to go ahead and do your review?
Let's do the review. Let's get it over with.
Before we get it over with.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some things that happened tonight?
What, on Raw?
Yeah, because there's really only one like real highlight, and that was that main event. How about that main event? Did you watch the whole thing?
Yes. That main event, I can watch Seth and Finn Balor just wrestle anytime, all day. They always put on 5-star matches. These two work so well together. I'm never bored, and I'm so glad. It's just, I'd rather see this, and it's a non-title bout, than any Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns, piece of shit story that they give us. Sorry, my language, but POS story that they give us. For next time, because now we all know since Roman Reigns is not going to wrestle him anymore, he's going up against Samoa Joe at Backlash. We're going to have to see. We got to see Brock Lesnar maybe defend his title at SummerSlam, at least in these braces, or what do you call Money in the Bank, because he has that in his contract where and when he can wrestle. So,
but somebody on Twitter said that they could watch these two in an Iron Man match, and it wouldn't get boring.
it wouldn't.
And it was interesting because I was thinking, because we've had this discussion before of who could put on an Iron Man match in today's WWE. And the two we picked, I think, were Seth was the one that was the number one choice was Seth, because Seth, he has like a ton of different moves he can do, and he could put on a great match.
And he proved it at that one Raw, was that gauntlet tournament.
The other one was possibly AJ Styles, but he's getting up there, and we don't know what his durability is. But Finn Balor, man, I was watching this match tonight, and it was really cool because I didn't care who won because it was such a great match. Like, it would be kind of cool to see Finn win the IC title, but then you're like, then it's just going to turn around at Backlash. And not that I think Miz is going to win by any means, but I'm just saying,
But it would be good because remember what he said in his promo before the match started on his shoot. He said, "I'm not like Brock Lesnar. I'm a fighting champion. I won't be here every week to defend my title, unlike Brock Lesnar." Which means if he lost it to Finn, and since I think this Roman experiment is done. It's finished with, since he's going with Samoa Joe now. They're going to fight again. I could see Seth Rollins go after the title again against Brock Lesnar in the near future.
Yeah, it's kind of curious why they didn't just do that match at WrestleMania if that's what they plan on, unless they're just so bent on Lesnar versus Roman for whatever reason. Not that I don't think anybody wants to see that.
Should be it right now. He's so over right now everywhere. Just even in Saudi Arabia, it proved that everybody loves him. Especially tonight when they had a hostile crowd. They were in Canada. I know when I said a hostile crowd, Canada, but man, it was like a WrestleMania crowd, a day after WrestleMania crowd, where all the smarts were out there.
But getting back to Seth and Finn, I was watching this match going, this should be the main event of WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. This really should have been the main event of WrestleMania.
Now,
they put on a hell of a show on a Raw, so.
Will we see Finn Balor, or since it's WrestleMania, would it have been the Demon?
Yeah, I think they'll save the Demon because Rollins has still never beat the Demon.
Yeah.
As far as WWE is concerned, not counting NXT, the Demon's undefeated. Yeah. I think the Demon will stay undefeated for a while.
Yeah. Maybe once a year or once the 5 annual pay-per-views now. That's when he'll show up.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, there's 12 annual pay-per-views now, so.
Well, I mean the top 5. I'm sorry, yeah, you're right. But the top 4. Well, I don't say there's 4 anymore. I think there's 5 now.
Yeah, they got rid of King of the Ring, or they're kind of bringing it back, but it's not really.
No.
It's whatever. All right, so Seth, you've got your Raw review ready. This is the fastest Raw review in all of the world. Later on, after we do this, we're going to do the tweet spot. Then we're going to learn what happened this day in wrestling history. And also later tonight, we are going to crown who has the greatest mugshot in wrestling history.
God, I can't wait to see this.
All right, so here we go, Seth. Okay. This is 3 hours, and we're going to try to do it in 3 minutes. Here we go. I got the timer, and go.
Tonight, Raw is War live from Quebec, Canada. We have Roman Reigns show at the first, telling the WWE Universe that his feet touch the floor, and so he should be Universal Champion. Samoa Joe shows up on the Titantron and says, "Too little, too late," and he's going to put him to sleep at Backlash next week. Then Jinder Mahal shows up saying, "You lost to Brock Lesnar and you'll lose to Samoa Joe at Backlash, but tonight you'll lose to me." Then Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn show up, the hometown heroes of Canada, and they are praised by everyone and come back. So the three. Triple team Roman Reigns, Bobby Lashley, and Braun Strowman show up to back him up. Let's see. let's cut from commercial break, and we were told that the GM Kurt Angle that tonight will be a three-man tag team match between Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Jinder Mahal versus Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley, and Roman Reigns.
6 man.
6 man. Thank you. I say 3 man. 6 man. Thank you. Next, we have our first match of the night. Bobby Roode versus Elias. Bobby Roode cannot finish the match because of a throat injury, so no contest, no winner. Then we have a tag team match. Authors of Pain versus Local Jobbers. Squash match, winner, Authors of Pain. Next in ring segment, we have Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins will defend his IC championship against The Miz for the rematch at WrestleMania. Oh. And then Finn Balor shows up wanting his chance for the 5th time, and Seth Rollins gives him for the opportunity tonight.
Hold on, let me. There we go.
Oh Lord. Next we have Ruby Riott versus Sasha Banks. Ruby Riott wins. Actually, a very good match.
Damn it,
I can't
Xavier.
Wait for more titles in the future. Hopefully, she'll get a championship. Next, we have a Moment of Bliss anti-bullying promo against Nia Jax. Next, we have Titus Worldwide about his worldwide slide at the greatest, super best, whatever Royal Rumble. Then Lone Wolf Baron Corbin shows up and makes fun of him, stuff like that. Next, we have the 6-man tag match between Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Jinder Mahal versus Bobby Lashley, Braun Strowman, and Roman Reigns. Team face wins. Next, we have a video package of the greatest Royal Rumble. Don't care. Next, we have Baron Corbin versus No Way Jose. No Way Jose pins Baron Corbin with the upset. Next, we have Natalya versus Mickie James, Ronda Rousey in one corner, and then Alexa Bliss in the other. Natalya wins with a schoolgirl pin, because it's not a schoolboy pin. And then with that, Nia Jax shows up to congratulate Ronda and Natalya. Next, we have a video shoot of Drew McIntyre, thank God, and Dolph Ziggler. Then that's it. Next, we have the main event, Finn Balor versus Intercontinental Champion Seth Rollins for the IC belt. Winner, Seth Rollins wins with the curb stomp to retain his IC championship.
And you did it.
Thank you.
I'm guessing. It's
you just couldn't. You're not one with the New Day.
Apparently I'm not.
You're not.
I don't think he likes me. I don't think.
Well, ever since you said that thing about turning the page.
Yeah, he
takes it very hard.
He took it personally for whatever, Can I say something about the Montreal crowd?
Go for it.
So I didn't like. I've only watched a little bit of Raw.
Yes.
And the bit I did watch was with the sound off.
Yeah.
And everybody online was like, "Oh, this crowd's the greatest," and all this, and I'm sitting there thinking, "This is why? Is it because they're booing the faces? Is that why they're the greatest?" And so I didn't have to listen to it because I pretty much concluded that was it.
Anytime Roman Reigns got the advantage or the offense against Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn or even Jinder Mahal, because yes, his character he's Indian, but the thing in real life he's actually from Canada too. So they were just cheering for them.
Yeah, it was one of those things where the crowd's trying to put themselves over. It's like, I could leave it really. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and do the tweet spot.
Absolutely.
Your favorite part of the show, Seth.
Oh, my favorite part of the tweets.
And we're gonna listen to some of the old Ringside Review theme song.
Okay.
As we read some of these tweets. These are our favorite tweets of the night. We encourage everybody out there to follow whoever you see. Leave a tweet for us. So these are the tweet. This is the tweet spot. This is the worst intro to the tweet spot ever. Anyway, enjoy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we give you the tweet.
right, some of those tweets were uncensored.
Awesome.
One of them had an F-bomb in it. I wonder if have we ever done a tweet
F-bomb?
spot that had like naughty
No.
words in it? I don't know.
I don't think so. No. All right, what's next?
Well, Seth,
Yes.
we're going to go back in time and we're going to learn what happened on this day.
On this day, I see clearly. Trademark.
All right, on this day 41 years ago, woo, that's a long time ago, superstar Billy Graham defeated Bruno Sammartino for the WWF title. This, I didn't do my research, but this was, I think, this is Bruno's last run ended.
No.
I think so. Monumental run.
Losses.
Of course, we remember Bruno because he passed recently, but the Babe Ruth of wrestling.
Yep.
Or rather, Babe Ruth was the Bruno Sammartino of baseball, as I like to say.
Nice.
Yeah, very good.
I agree on that one.
Who would Hulk Hogan be? Like the Joe DiMaggio or something like that?
Ty Cobb.
Well,
Ty Cobb, you're racist.
Terry Funk kind of strikes me as a Ty Cobb.
Yeah,
Although
Terry Funk's not racist.
the attitude, well, yeah, I guess maybe.
That would be Joe DiMaggio.
Ty Cobb.
Yogi
okay.
Berra. There you go, Terry Funk right there.
I wonder if that was like the Mick Foley, was more of a Yogi, because they're kind of witty, kind of funny guys.
Yeah, I can see that. Ted Williams.
Maybe. But then Hulk Hogan had a lot of championships. Ted Williams never.
Ted Williams.
Yeah, he never had a world.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. 35 years ago, Greg the Hammer Valentine defeated Roddy Piper for the U.S. title.
Wow.
Roddy Piper would not win it back until 1998, so there's a big gap between when he was U.S. champ. 20 years ago today, Chris Benoit defeated Booker T for the TV championship. It was the first of 5 consecutive days with a title change. At house shows, they were just dropping the belt to each other. Like Fit Finlay, I think, was involved at one point. And then they won it back on like the following Nitro. Of course, Benoit would later go on to murder his family. 18 years ago, Backlash. This was the Backlash, year 2000 Backlash, the first pay-per-view after that terrible that WrestleMania 2000.
Oh, yeah.
The highlight was The Rock winning the WWE title back from Triple H.
Yep.
Was the main event. 17 years ago on Raw, we had a WWF championship match. It was Undertaker versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. Heel Stone Cold Steve Austin, I should say. Where Undertaker defeated Austin, but it was by Dairy Queen. Or disqualification, whatever you say. DQ. 12 years ago on Backlash. Interesting match. RVD took on Shelton Benjamin, where it was an Intercontinental Championship versus Money in the Bank briefcase match. The winner received both. RVD won and became the IC champ while holding the briefcase.
What was that?
This was 12 years ago.
Okay.
So this was what, 2006?
I say it must have been the night where he challenged John Cena at One Night Only.
Anyway, this was also the pay-per-view that featured Vince and Shane McMahon versus Shawn Michaels and possibly the greatest tag team partner of all. That's right, God. He was a spotlight in the corner. This was pre-PG era, kind of just really
Attitude
pushing the edge.
Yeah.
Vince,
Attitude Era was a hard rated R. This right here was like PG-13. It was going down a notch, but still.
It was Vince mocking God, and Shawn Michaels went along with it. It was really kind of weird.
I don't understand, yeah.
So it was HBK and his tag team partner, God. 8 years ago today, TNA fired Bubba the Love Sponge. Now, you remember Bubba the Love Sponge was involved with TNA for a while. This, of course, was in the era we stopped watching altogether. We definitely weren't watching TNA at the time.
God, man.
And this is, of course, Hogan and Bubba the Love Sponge are buddies. In fact, that's who the woman is in his tape, is Bubba the Love Sponge's wife.
Oh, my God.
You didn't know about this?
I didn't know Bubba's Love Sponge was a wrestler.
No, he wasn't a wrestler. He was a radio personality, but
Okay,
he was
okay.
involved I forget his involvement. He was like a host or something like
I
that.
think it was commentary or something.
I don't know.
God.
Xavier, help us out. Weren't you with the company at the time?
He's on the top.
Yeah, he doesn't want
I
to.
don't blame him on that.
Well, Bubba the Love Sponge was fired this day 8 years ago after he made comments about the Haitian earthquake. This led to a backstage assault from Awesome Kong, who had been raising money for the relief efforts, and she basically assaulted him backstage for his rude comments.
She should.
I don't know what the comments were. I didn't look it up because I don't do any research for the show.
That woman off.
Yeah, it's funny. You get beat up by Karma, and then you get fired. That's a
Yeah, exactly. Karma, huh?
that's a bad week right there.
That's right. No kidding.
1 year ago, WWE presented Payback. Highlights of this night would have been Jericho defeating Kevin Owens for the U.S. title, which was a surprise because we thought it was, obvious Kevin Owens was going to retain and keep the U.S. title on Raw, and then lo and behold, the U.S. title goes to SmackDown, and it's been there ever since. Also, Alexa Bliss defeated Bayley for the Raw Women's title. This would begin her run that just ended at WrestleMania this year.
This makes her the first woman to have both belts too in the same year, I think.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
11-month title run. Why is she not talked about as far as having one of the longest runs?
She does talk about when she had the title and she was
like. I mean, they never really compared her to like the AJ Lee run or whatever. It was interesting, but she had that title for a long time.
She's very impressive. She's very amazing.
She had that great run. This was also the night of the House of Horrors match. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt. This was, of course, the Freebird Michael Hayes' idea he's allegedly had for years and no one's wanted to do it. He finally got to do it, and it is what it was.
This come from a guy who dresses up like Grimace from McDonald's.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh,
and what's bad is they split it up into 2 segments. Do you remember this?
Yeah.
They had the start of this match, and then it ended, or there was an intermission, and then they had Rollins versus Samoa Joe.
Yes.
And then they had the rest of this match, and it was I think the first half of it was recorded, the second half was live. I think.
I remember when we watched it, you and I were just like, "Oh, it'd be so great." While the limousine is taking him away, it's like, "Where to?" And it's just like an Undertaker reference, or with Bray Wyatt would be doing it.
In the main event, Braun Strowman defeated Roman Reigns. This was a big moment for Braun Strowman. It was kind of the first step to WWE saying that we're serious about Braun Strowman. We just had him beat our top guy. So, birthdays today. Sean Devari's birthday, who just made a recent comeback at the Greatest Royal Rumble. There was a segment where they brought in some guys who had won some tryouts and got developmental deals, and they're Saudi Arabian wrestlers. And they had Daivari, who of course is an Iranian, along with his brother, came out, and they basically got beat up and sent over. But I think they're back with the WWE. It's funny because
they're with NXT right now.
Daivari's had kind of an interesting run. He's really been under the radar for the past 10 years. He's wrestled all over in TNA, Ring of Honor, WWE. He's been the manager of Great Khali. He was Kurt Angle's manager at one point. He's very forgettable. No offense to the guy.
And he's amazing.
Look, let me just tell you one thing, Daivari. If for some ungodly reason you are watching this show, I don't know why you would be. You've had a great career. Unfortunately, it's been very forgettable, but that's okay because you got paid. It's okay.
To be honest,
you've made your living, so you're good for you. And you know what? The best is yet to come.
That's right.
Because you're back now, and I think you and your brother would probably make a cool tag team. And it's kind of cool. I don't know.
Just make sure Vince doesn't make it some type of stereotype.
Well, he's already done that.
ISIS thing, tag team, because that's what he's gonna do. Don't let him do it.
Well, he already was running around as the Sheik at one point. So.
Yes,
I was just wondering, was anybody nervous about them coming out there and proclaiming that Iran was better than Saudi Arabia, or
These two are,
I wonder if their
about,
relationship with Iran's that bad, or if
it's not as bad as
Yeah,
Syria,
okay.
but apparently these two are kind of like I guess you would say how the mega powers for us is like America and Russia. Oh, they're the Middle East nations. I think it's Saudi Arabia and Iran. Like those are the major ones.
well.
So yeah.
All right, Seth, let's get to it. We are now going to crown who has the greatest mugshot in wrestling history.
God, yes, I want to see this.
There are dozens and dozens of mugshots we had to choose from.
We had to stop, folks, because we were running a little late. That's why we didn't have a thing.
That was a big problem of why we were running late, is we just had so many mugshots to go through.
I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to be watching this part over and over again just to watch these mugshots and our reactions.
It's almost too hard to tell. You know, we whittled it down, I think, a little bit, but even then, I feel. I don't know why Mickey Rourke's included in this. Technically, he is a wrestler, I guess.
Yes, he's a superstar.
But there's so many to choose from. I'm just going to go through a few, just run down the list real quick. There was Jerry Lawler's recent one with his incident with his girlfriend or whoever it was.
His waitress.
It was something. I can't remember.
How old is she?
I don't know. She looks like she's in her 20s. X-Pac has a great one. What you could say about X-Pac, he looks happy. You can say that.
So drunk, he doesn't.
You know, I don't know what else you want. Billy Gunn has a great one where he's just kind of.
I'm looking at him right now, dude.
He kind of has his mouth kind of open, and he's not all there. Rich Swann, who pretty much ended his career in the WWE. I don't know. He might be back someday, but it doesn't look likely.
Doesn't look like it right now.
That was a domestic issue that apparently wasn't that big of a deal. I don't know. Brock Lesnar, who before today, I didn't even realize he had one. Man, Brock Lesnar's just, man, he's just like no neck. He's just.
That's all he is.
His head just looks like a bump on his body. You know. I don't know what year this was. Anyway, Charlotte, who I didn't realize had one. I'm not sure this is like a real mugshot. She looks way too happy for somebody that just got arrested. Then of course Chris Jericho. Public drunkenness.
PI, way to go, Jericho.
I didn't know you could. I mean, what do you? I guess I don't know. I thought they just like drove you home and gave you a ticket or something. But no,
it depends on how much you drank and how much damage you did.
lock you up, and then of course Jack Swagger, who's I think marijuana related, is what that was. Poor guy. Marijuana really shouldn't be illegal. We're not gonna get into a whole thing, but it's just. It's real bullshit. Anyway, Emma, who of course had shoplifting charges. One of the prettier mugshots. Not that bad.
She's so beautiful now. Gosh,
yeah,
she's so beautiful.
She that derailed her career more than Emelina or whatever it was. Lex Luger.
Lex Luger looks like he's like, yeah, I killed her.
Not the best hairstyle for Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor? What? Lex Luger.
Lex Luthor doesn't have any hair.
Why would I ever say Lex Luthor? And
he died in Infinity Wars.
Rest in peace, Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero actually has one of the better mugshots. Like I don't know, he doesn't look stupid. He just looks like he's pissed off.
Like he's pissed. He got into a fight, and then somebody called the cops.
Yeah.
Typical die. That's all.
Anyway, then we have Canyon. Rest in peace, Canyon.
Ooh, better than Canyon.
That guy had a pretty difficult life, from what I understand.
He was such a great persona and great wrestler and a person. It's just when people found out about him being, he's gay, big deal. He took it very offensive, and he took his own life because of it.
Yeah, he had mental issues. Roman Reigns with the big hair, which is kind of funny.
Oh God.
I think he did okay for himself afterwards. I don't know, and forgive me, and I should be forgiven for this. I don't know if this is Jay or Jimmy Uso, whichever one that got the DUI earlier this year. It was Jimmy, and we naturally just assume they're going to have the tag title stripped from him. Jim Neidhart's been on here a few times. I love this mugshot because he's sunburned in it.
He's not sunburned. You know how you drink too much alcohol?
Maybe, yeah, that's right. Maybe it looks like a sunburn.
Yeah.
This one I love is Linda Hogan. DUI is what she got busted for.
God, no kidding.
DUIs are no joke, too, man. We should, it happens so often.
It does, and
that we don't really publicly shame these people as much as we should, but I mean, seriously, they're not only putting their lives in danger when they do that, they could kill other people. So and it has happened plenty of times. There's an early one of Shawn Michaels, which is great, which I didn't know existed.
Hair.
Yeah, that's a rocker for you right there.
Show Ric Flair.
Yeah, Ric Flair has the saddest mugshot I've ever seen. You just feel bad for him just looking at this.
If you know about his life, or if you watch this documentary, folks, you know like this is probably right after when his son died.
Yeah, I don't know, something like that. Sid Vicious looks kind of happy in his, but
voices are talking.
I don't have information on why he got arrested, but who knows? Jeff Hardy's recent mugshot. You know, he had to have all sorts of bad things going through his head, like, oh my God, just ruined my comeback or whatever. Stone Cold. This was probably for his domestic charge against Deborah. Because it looks about that time period.
Looks clean and sober.
Then we have Sonny, who's on here a couple of times. This one's just kind of sad as Sonny.
Oh God.
Talk about sad, just pathetic.
Yeah,
right now.
If you've seen that OSW review of her porn, oh God, it's so bad.
Ted DiBiase Jr., who I was surprised to see him on here.
No kidding, because now he's a youth minister.
All right, so now here we go. We're gonna get to some good ones. All right. This one I like because I don't know. It's just kind of funny. It was Bo Dallas's.
He looks so.
He looks the most serious I've ever seen Bo Dallas look. Like he usually has that big goofy, gap teeth grin, but he looks like he's just ready to kill somebody in this picture. So I like that's a nominee, but that's not gonna win. No. To me, it really comes down between two. Actually, three, and. What's probably going to come in third, and I don't know, I'll let you pick Seth, is Matt Hardy with the one eye kind of open and the other half shut.
Half Undertaker.
This is a great mugshot. He just looks like he's just had a rough night.
He's half woken.
He's half woken.
He's half woken.
And then I don't know. It's a toss-up between these two.
Just show it.
So we have this one. I'll go with where'd it go? Whoops. Oh, here it goes. This is a famous one. You've probably seen this plenty of times. This Big Show's. Back when, I guess his Giant days is what it looks like.
It looks like when he was a Giant.
But he just looks, his eyes are closed, and it's hilarious.
He looks so, I think he passed out.
You know, it's funny that they even had to do a mugshot for Big Show, because honestly, this is like the one guy you shouldn't have to do a mugshot. It's like, what we need a description of the suspect. He's 7 feet tall, and he's like a giant. Yeah, I think I know him. Yeah.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Gray's been dead for. No, this guy looks like him.
So it's between this one and the next one, and the next one is just such a great mugshot. It looks fake because it's just so perfect. Is of course Sandman with the Band-Aid on his head, looking like he's been there before.
Many times, like Mondays. You look at that picture and it's like Mondays.
It is. He looks tough. It also is hilarious.
I think,
with all due respect to Hardy and Big Show, that's my pick. I gotta go Sandman.
Hey, Mike, you have to tell the story of Sandman.
One of these days, I'll tell the stories. You know, my story really doesn't. It really, I have nothing against Sandman.
Neither do
for what happened. I would have preferred. Gosh, I'll go into it, but I don't really have anything against Sandman. Charlie Haas kind of pissed me off a little bit, but to his credit, it was obviously he was having a bad day, and I hate to judge somebody just on bad days, because if somebody's around me and I have a bad day, I don't want them to judge me by that. So that said, the only thing I can tell you is what happened to me that night, and one of these days I'll get to the Sandman Charlie Haas story.
Oh man, but that joke Sandman,
which is probably the scary. Oh, okay, I'll tell the joke. So, I'll put the picture of Sandman up with us.
Sandman, though, before we go to this, you are it.
Yeah, well, congratulations.
Congratulations.
So, this is back when I was refereeing shows, and I was refereeing an indie show that Sandman and Charlie Haas were the main event. And, and we're sitting backstage. And this was the night that Whitney Houston died. And so we're all just sort of sitting around. And one of the wrestlers pulls out his phone. And I'll give him a shout out. Danny Donovan is who it was. He goes, "Hey, Whitney Houston just died." Because he was just looking on his phone. He goes, "Hey, Whitney Houston just died." And we're all just talking about it. And we're like, wow. He's like, man, I wonder where. Because when like a celebrity dies, they don't tell you right away how they died. So you're kind of speculating.
Yeah.
And we're like, man, wonder exactly what happened. And then Sandman just walks by. And he goes, huh? What's going on? It's like, well, Whitney Houston just died. And we're just going, oh, man, I wonder what happened. And like, I'll tell you what happened. Bobby Brown got her hooked on that. And then he just walked away. And it was the funniest thing.
I wish I could have been there.
It was hilarious. He goes, Bobby Brown got her hooked on that. Like that. And then he walked away. Like, you didn't say, oh my God, I was just dying.
That was the last time you've ever seen, like, that's who he was. I admire his purity. Yeah. He walks away back into the wilderness.
Yeah, Sandman was awesome for that.
Oh,
I mean, how could I be, no matter what happened the rest of the night, how could I be mad at anybody for that?
You told me that he actually shook his hand the right way, like a wrestler's supposed to.
Wrestlers are funny about that now because they shy. I don't know, because the guy we had here last week, he shook my hand pretty hard. Jan, but so I think, because I was talking to some wrestlers about this, the handshake, the infamous handshake, if you don't know. I don't know if I'm breaking any code by saying this, because I think it's pretty common knowledge right now. Is wrestlers have a special handshake they do. And it's a way they can not only identify who else is a wrestler, but it's a way of telling the other wrestler that they don't work stiff. Mm-hmm. And that's all I'll say about it, in case it is still, in case there are still sacred things in this world. I've heard that they shy away from that now because it's a telltale sign you're more of a mark than you are a wrestler. Mm-hmm. So and I even had Brent McKenzie tell me to shake his hand like a man. He goes, shake my hand like a man, damn it. Not that, whatever, handshake. But anyway.
But it was, God, I just could have been there just to see that joke, just to see his face do that, because I know his eyes got bulged up. Like, yeah, I bet that's what you're about to do right now, Sandman. You're about to go to that bathroom and do it right now. But Sandman, congratulations.
My whole issue with Sandman is that he was just so drunk that night. God. And I was... I don't know. I'm not going to go into it more than that. But anyway, so one day I will share the story of my Sandman experience with you guys. Maybe I think we're going to wrap it up for tonight. Thank you guys for watching.